Going live, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. You're live. Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we're going to have a great show, but it's going to be controversial. But I got my great co-hosts and guests, Lucky Stone and Grandpa Brian. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hello there, Robert.
Yes, another great panel. We had you guys on before. We had a great discussion about things. So tonight we got you back on, and we're going to have another great discussion about things. And this is going to be a little controversial, people. I have my Jesus on a stick shirt. Jesus was an alien shirt. You got to love this. So if you don't want to hear about religion and how it might not be what it is, you best tune out now so you don't get offended. But if you got a strong stomach and you're not gonna blow up in the chat room at people, or it doesn't matter if you dislike or like my video, all compliments are good. But I'm tonight we're going to talk about religion. You know, we got Easter coming up. Now, what does Easter stand for and all that? We're going to do that in another episode. Because tonight we're going to start out, as of all these other things, like they start with Passover. They start with Passover and you go to the thing. And I know you both know all about this stuff. You go to the thing and they get the ashes, and where do they put them? They put them right on your forehead, right above your third eye to cover it up.
Yep.
Why is that? Why do we go and do these things? What is it all about? Now, I ain't the holy roller rocker person that, some people might be and quote the Bible as much, but I do understand it. I do understand what this whole thing is for. And in the end, they put up a big sacrifice, and hence the dead guy on the stick. But doesn't that seem a little bit weird for a guy who preaches about, live and love your neighbor and so forth and so on, and I have a God that's all loving and everything, and yet it's all about murder. It's all about death and blood. It's all about sacrifice. What's up with that?
That's a huge amount to unpack. I mean, it goes back to, they throw it back to Abraham when he went to sacrifice his son for God. God says, you've got to sacrifice your firstborn son from your legal wife rather than from your concubine wife. But that's another confusing thing. But it was his first real son born from his official wife, which was his sister, Sarah. But I went, and then right before he's about to plunge the knife into his son, God says, "Oh, no, wait. Sacrifice that ram instead." And I guess God changed his mind and says, yeah, I need someone to sacrifice, and I might as well sacrifice my own son, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was thrown to us as Catholics, that
Yeah.
Jesus, Son of God, gave up his life for our sins that weren't even our job. That's the thing. A lot of the sins that were thrown upon us that Jesus gave his life up for were sins that we never partake upon. It was just what we were born into.
How can you be born into a sin? See, that's the thing, is what my genes hold, what my father's father did, and my father's father before him did. My genes, my DNA consist of whatever he did back in those days. I mean, that'd be like saying, well, your father committed a crime. He stole a candy bar, and well, we've sentenced him to life in prison, but since he died early, you're going to prison for him, and then your children will go for you until that sentence. He had 99 years. So all of you are going to be sentenced to prison for 99 years till that sentence is filled.
Mm-hmm.
You see that are you not your own individual person?
Well, you got to remember that the original part of this religion that we were thrown into was your responsibility to the family, and you were part of the land, and you were part of. And back then, when what they were pushing were you were had to serve your familial obligations. So you were, I mean, literally, you were part of the soil. You were the land you were. You don't go from there. You live there. You're part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
you stay there. And you're obligated to you're there because your father was there, because your grandfather was there, because your great grandfather was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they kind of pushed that idea where you are a product of your heritage. So the sins of the father.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it goes back to the sins of the mother, which is Eve who bit the apple and gave it to Adam because he wasn't bright enough to say, "Hey, wait, I don't want to bite the apple too."
Mm-hmm.
Which is another thing of itself, was the knowledge of good and evil. How
Mm-hmm.
is that wrong? Why is knowing good and evil?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it goes to what does Jesus represent, and then of course historical Jesus versus what actually happened versus what we're told. And it all goes down to what we know inside of us. The truth is inside of us, and we know how it contradicts the religion. And every single person who's in religion knows there was a problem, but eventually you just give up and you just, okay, this is what my religion wants. This is how I follow it.
Yes. Grandpa Brian, your thoughts?
Uh, First of all, religion, I do believe, is nothing but control.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go back to, when did religion begin? Did it begin with Adam and Eve?
Maybe. Well,
With
that's a good thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
mean, they.
you look at the control there by God. If you do this, I'm kicking you out of the Garden of Eden.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
did
obvious.
aliens bring religion to us, for control? I
Well,
think
and
it's all about control.
and that's the thing, is I had a funny thought. Now this this is going to sound like a storybook science fiction thing, but then again, all the stuff in the Bible is science fiction kind of to me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people think that too, because there's just too much stuff that's too far out there to actually say that was. But I think some of it may have happened, and then they capitalized on that and made those stories go to religion, because the people at that time didn't know anything of the technology that we're talking about. But I think there was a time before that, before before that, there was technology. And I think at one point or another, there was technology. There was probably a society as we have today, if not greater. Now, what if all that was lost? And as you know, we have corporations, things like that. What if the guy on the stick is nothing more than a corporate logo from a past civilization? What if all these things are, something to do with some technology that was lost, and we started worshiping it because we didn't know, like those airplane cults, or what do they call them in the South Pacific, because they seen an airplane fly over and some people parachute out. They thought they were gods, or they come up out of the water in a submarine and they thought they were gods. Who's to say that this whole religion thing wasn't developed for guilt and control by some people controlling that society over some corporate logo that survived through some Holocaust? Something to think about. Some technology that was lost. And now we don't even know what it is because it's really lost, but we're still there, sitting there worshiping, because somebody in control of that religion tells you to worship. I mean, it is a thought. I mean, that's the thought I had the other day. What say you on all of that? It sounds crazy, but you never know.
Well,
Uh,
a lot of religion is the sense of belonging. And that's one of the toughest part of religion is that we all, for some reason, deep down inside of us, we want to belong. And the
Hmm.
part of belonging is us versus them mentality. And religion really, really feeds upon that because you have, the Jews, the Judaism, Christianity, and Muslims are all worship the same God, but they're fighting against each other, and that all those religions feed off of that. The idea that
Hmm.
we belong, we're better than the other guys,
Hmm.
and this the same God, and then it goes to technology. Well, I don't know. I don't know what technology would happen back then, and if
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, right now, if there was a solar flare strong enough, it would knock out all electronics, and most of us wouldn't survive because we're addicted to these stupid pieces of electronics. People like Grandpa Brian would basically go, okay, that's fine. Person like me, I don't have a garden, but I do know what I can eat because there are so many weeds we call weeds that are
Mhm.
perfectly edible,
Yep.
and then with other ones that are medicinal, and I know them. I've seen them
Yep.
around, and some of them are technically illegal to use, but they grow wildly in my backyard,
Yeah.
and I let them go because what do I care? They're in the backyard. They're in the brambles. What do I care? But I do know that they do have some medicinal qualities, and then others that are growing in my lawn, which I let go wild, are edible.
Hmm.
But again, what happened? I think it was worse than 2,000 years ago, maybe 5 or 6,000 years ago when they knocked everything down. What happened? I don't know. What the pyramids before, they weren't tombs. They were something else. There's no question
Yeah.
about that.
Hmm.
But
Absolutely.
what would happen? But again, if there was this many people 10,000 years ago, I think we know it better than we do right now. But unless they were much more careful, because we make a mess, we leave so much trash, and a lot of it would, the concrete would fall apart, except for the Roman stuff. The metals would eventually rust. So maybe another 10,000 years after us, they would never know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, just think it. 100,000 years goes by, and what would a building look like? It'd look like a pile of rocks or debris. I mean, all these things take a lot of upkeep. The roads, the
Mhm.
buildings. If you leave them go, like you said, water pipes and stuff, they just rust out.
Mhm.
Eventually, I mean, there'd be some few things left, maybe, but mostly not much. Um, yeah, I mean, most of our houses, Grandpa Brian, you're a builder. Tell
yes.
us about houses. What houses last the longest?
Uh, One that is actually custom built instead of the majority of homes built nowadays are prefabricated homes with trusses.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're basically cracker box houses
Mm-hmm.
where a custom frame home is actually, I mean, it's well built. I've built many of those.
So you're
So you're
saying
looking
that
at something that's well built compared to something that's thrown together.
now,
And that's all a prefab house is, just a puzzle thrown together.
yes, but what are they all made out of?
Wood,
How long is wood gonna last?
if it's protected, it can last a really long time.
That's a good point.
Now, I worked on houses that, 130, 140 years old downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah. And,
So
and
I know they will last.
and what's to keep out here's the point. Yeah, they will last no matter which house you build. The custom built's are going to last the longest, but what protects them? It's that roof. If you don't have a good roof, nothing's going to be protected. Eventually, the rain and stuff is going to get in, and the next thing you know, it doesn't matter. The wood's going to rot out, the house will fall apart. So as soon as that roof gives out, how
Yep.
long the shingles? How long is it? But you're talking houses that are maintained. What? Yeah, right?
Correct.
Yes. And we're talking about what if the house ain't maintained for, well, even a custom built home with regular shingles on it. If you don't maintain that house and you just let it sit there, how long do you think it would last before it starts falling apart?
About 30 years.
Yeah, there you go. 30 years. We're talking thousands.
Mhm.
You know, this
Yeah.
place, America will be barren if that would happen. If we don't keep repairing and fixing and reshingling our roofs and stuff, place will be barren. We are living in a fall apart society. Like you said, those Cracker Jack houses, they're not meant to last long, 20, 30 years, 40 years maybe. And the custom built homes, they'll last 100 years. But eventually, if you don't keep repairing them, they're going to fall apart. And what I'm saying is all of this stuff leads us up to, the Jesus thing. And what was going on there? I mean, it doesn't, from what I read of the Bible, it almost sounds like socialism. It sounds like control, and dictated by religion. It's become a source of fear, guilt, and control. And with all of that, and how's that survive? By passing it on from generation to generation, through children, and indoctrinating them in, and then making them indoctrinate their children to the point of, when you two were going to church and things like that or whatever, and when you were kids, you didn't feel like you didn't need to know, they just told you. At least that's how it was for me. The more I asked questions, the more they told me, don't ask questions.
Pretty much. I come from a Catholic background, and once I found out what religion was really about and basically what the Catholic Church was about, I walked away from it.
Mhm.
Was angry at my mom for forcing a religion on me that was not of my choosing.
Mhm.
Then after about a day, I came to the realization it actually wasn't her fault, because it's what she was programmed by her mom. It was what her mom was programmed by her mom, and it went back generations and generations. Especially being Irish Catholic, who it could have went back 7 or 8, maybe even 9 generations when it first started. That indoctrination, it just kept going and going and going, and
There you
that's
go.
why
Yeah.
with my grandson, he hasn't been baptized. He, he not has any religion forced on him. He's not made to go to church. It's let him make his decision on what path he wants to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we should do with their young. We shouldn't force a religion on them. We should let them choose what path they feel best. And if it's going to church, becoming Catholic, that is their choice. But to have something forced on you I think is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. And I want to say hello to everybody in the chat because they're all like right on there. Elderberry is in the house. Steve-O Charlotte is in the house. Trina Phoenix is in the house. Thank you for coming, Trina. We got Chief Remeldian Olympus. Thank you for coming. Mary Wins is in the house. Scotty Boy, he says, build underground. It's climate controlled. Yes. Joe. Hello. Jackie J. Grumpy Stack is there listening. Metal disintegrates in salt water in less than 200 years. Right on. That's why they put copper on the bottoms of ships. Do you know that? Anyway, we got I think that's Truth Seekers in the house. Thank you. Lori Elderkin, thank you for coming in. Nina the Mystic, who unbaptized herself. Thank you for doing that. That's quite the feat. And I think a lot of us, if we went back, Trina says, and I was going to bring this up here in a second. She says, what if it's all AI? What if we are AI and if these resets are just more modified versions of us? And I think I agree with that. But what if this God character that everybody seems to be talking about, what if he is AI? What if he's that Black Knight satellite just beaming messages down to us? You notice that even through the Bible, God never really does anything. He just lets things go. He makes people, he convinces people to do things for him by suggestion or promises, like, I will give you all this land and make sure your children's children will be many and profitable and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? But he doesn't really, like, show his face. He's just there saying, I'm going to do. And he may cause some natural disasters, but was he really causing those natural disasters? Or did he have firsthand knowledge of it? How did he do a natural disaster? Did he just know that the volcano was going to erupt and said, well, kind of like Columbus did with the Indians on the island? And he looked out, he says, oh, hey, there's going to be an eclipse. Well, you know what? Call my God up, and he says he'll shut off the sun. You don't do what I say. Because he had technology that the Indians didn't have. And so with that, I've been doing some studying, and I don't know, you guys can look it up. There's this Cabenza de Vaca. He was a Spaniard back in the day, and you can go listen to him on a podcast on Spotify, and this off the History of the Americans. I suggest you all go and listen to that. Was a great podcast talking about him, and it goes into a lot more detail. But the story goes, and I'm going to shorten it way up. This guy traveled along with 300 Spaniards. They had a lot of bad luck with the Indians. They were shipwrecked. They were out there to claim fame for Spain and land stuff in Florida and Texas area. They were marooned. They literally, Cabela de Vaca, he ended up with nothing in the end. Him and about 4 other guys survived out of 300. And in the end, when he was finally found by the Spanish, that rescued him or whatever, or sort of, after about 7 years, they found him with literally nothing. He'd been wandering around with the Indians naked for, the last 4 or 5 years. He had zero. But here's the thing, what he did do. And by some strange miracle, he converted tons of those Indians to Christianity. And now how the heck did he do that? And that's why you ever notice that once you get south of the border, all those Mexicans had gotten, into South America, they got to be really fanatics on Christianity. And how was that? Because he went around, and one day, one of the Indians was sick. Now, he was basically a slave at this point in time. And they said, well, we tried everything. Maybe your white man magic will cure him. Go cure him. So he didn't know what else to do. He went in there and, said some prayers and did the sign of the cross and did his hooba jubas on him, And he's just like, he says, of course, the Spanish kept good memoirs. He says, I was sure that guy was dead. Nothing I could do for him. I walked out of the room, nothing. The next day, he was celebrated as a hero because this guy was up and around, walking and talking and eating food again. He thought, well, holy cow. Well, the Indians thought he was just this crazy, what God is it? Of course, this is where I'm getting all this. What God is it that you're praying to that could cure these people? And so he was celebrated, and he was literally passed from tribe to tribe to tribe, going around curing people by praying over them. And miraculously, these people, got better everywhere. Even one of the biggest performing works he did was a guy got shot by an arrow and was pretty much gonna die. And he didn't know what to do, and he knew he couldn't just pray over the guy because the arrow was in him. So he pulled the arrow out and sewed him up with what crude instruments he had. And believe it or not, the guy got better and was up and around the next day. And again, he was celebrated as a miracle worker because they all knew this guy was going to die. And as he kept going, thousands and thousands of these Indians were being converted to Christianity as he went. And when he got back to, he finally got rescued and went back to Spain, and tried to beg the king to let him go. And his idea was to go back and not make the Indians slaves and do the work of the Spanish, but to convert them over to Christianity and make them doing it willingly. all while praising the Lord, of course. But the king, he took that under advisement and instead sent them to South America to do the same. So he went to South America and did a bunch of stuff down there. So what's up with that? That's what I'm saying. So you got one guy that does miracle works in front of people. Oh, it sounds like the Jesus story. Luck of the draw. What do you think of that? I know you haven't read the story, but still.
There's a lot to unpack with that.
Absolutely.
You have the tribes that he dealt with might have been on the outskirts between the Aztecs and other more powerful tribes happened to take him in. And so he was doing an act of mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that acts of mercy tend to be much more powerful than acts of aggression. So, and of course, Jesus himself, let's take the angry God of Judaism off the table. And the Jesus character was pure about take care of each other, love each other, feed each other, be good to each other. That's what Jesus taught. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else between Christianity is just garbage. All the dogma is just garbage. It's all about take care of each other. And whatever happened on top of that. So if he truly wanted to help these people, because of course they took him in, took care of him, he lost everything. So that makes sense, because I think that our most powerful ability is compassion. I think a lot of our powerful psychic manifestations come from compassionate acts. And so why did he able to do that? Because he had nothing. And he had nothing to prove. He couldn't fight them, he couldn't subjugate them, but he could act in a compassionate way. And he performed miracles because, one, he had nothing else, so I'm going to be dead probably if this guy dies. So I'm going to pray on him, please God, help him, heal this guy, heal me. And, he had nothing else. And it worked. And he goes, God, listen to me. And he just kept with it. He didn't say, I am the most powerful healer. He said, I'm going to keep healing. He passed from tribe to tribe, not because he was angry, because he was a healer. So, why did it work? Because he was always being compassionate. And, and unfortunately, all our religions are subjugated to push our religion and be part of the tribe of, follow the rules that my dogmas, not about Jesus, but about the dogmas of the religion. And, maybe there are two gods. So there's a compassionate God, and then there's an angry God, and they have some kind of contest, and really who wins, it doesn't really matter. Just keep, fighting over the earth,
Yeah.
And because I've met demons and I've heard, oh, you can't trust demons. Demons are evil. A lot of demons I met are just protective angels. They're to protect a place. And they appear scary and aggressive because they have nothing else. But if you go, wait, what do you need from me to calm you down? And a lot of times they go, no, I'm just here to protect this area. Just can you the forest one where I cleaned up. I says, okay, I know you're angry. People are littering. Let me, rather than being angry to littering people, I'll just pick it up. I'll just clean it up, and I'll just go along. And that put it at peace because his job was to protect this little area. And I come in and go, let me help you. And it calmed this who was an angry entity. It calmed him down. So I don't think, I've heard people say, oh, demons are awful. Oh, what, I watch the demons. For all the demons I've met, except for the shadow people, which is another time, they've always been easy to deal with because if you do a compassionate act to them, they were very much like, oh, finally, something, They didn't have to be angry. So maybe that's how he's able, I'm going around in circles, but maybe that's how he was able to perform his miracles because he was just doing it in a place of love.
That I agree, but I got a good question for you. Grandpa Brian, do you think now you're a Reiki master, do you think he was performing a kind of Reiki on this guy? Because he had nothing to give him. The only thing he could do is lay hands on him, do something like in that respect. He went in there, did some things, concentrated, laid hands on him, did whatever he could do. But he wasn't giving him medicine. He wasn't like except for the guy with the arrow, he didn't sew him up or do anything else. Do you think he was performing a bit of Reiki and he didn't know it?
Actually, he probably wasn't perform Reiki. The person that he was healing healed themselves because they believed that his prayers were going to heal them. They healed themselves, just like with my Reiki. I don't heal people. I just send them the energy. They receive it and they heal themselves. So in the same way with Jesus, they believed he was such a healer. All he had to say something to them, and they were healing themselves because they believed what he was doing and saying to them was healing them. They healed themselves.
I like that idea. See, and that's the thing, is because he was the new guy in town, he was the white guy versus, the Indians. They thought he had a heap big magic. And he said he was going places, and no matter what he did, he'd say some stuff over people, and everybody started getting well and getting better and so forth and so on. I think you got something there, because he had, like you said, Lucky, he's got nothing to lose, so he played the part. And
if you think about it, he was doing prayers and everything while probably the other medicine men were putting painful things on him. So this guy didn't come from a place of pain. His medicine was painless. So that's a good point. They healed themselves because this guy, did his magic without causing me any pain. And it probably empowered it even more.
Yeah. Trina says, belief is the key. It's your faith that heals you. And she's right. That's what we just decided here. But sometimes, what I'm saying is sometimes you need a Kickstarter, or you need a tool, like some people that carry the crystal with you. You got that crystal and you're using that as a tool to give you the faith to heal yourself, through that power of that crystal. But really, you have it all inside you. Sometimes you need a Kickstarter. Sometimes you need another person to, motivate you, come on, let's go. And they give you hope. you know, you heard that study about the mice, you know, the mice in the water, pedaling for water, and the mice
Oh,
or the
yeah, oh,
rats or
yeah.
whatever it was, after about 15 minutes, they all drown. But if you take them out, you know, and you put it back in and you take them out, put it back in, and then they'll paddle for hours and hours and hours because they have hope that you will pull them out of the water.
It was actually, it was like 6 minutes they started to drown and they
Yep.
pulled them out. And
Mhm.
after that, they survived for hours, which is amazing. So yeah, you're right. Faith. Yeah, you're right. Huge.
Yeah, yeah,
I
with
couldn't
that
believe
little
that
bit,
study. That study is crazy.
yeah, with a little bit of hope out there, that mouse will keep pedaling and pedaling and pedaling because they all want to live. And you know, and that's the thing. If somebody wants to die, they're going to die. You can't save somebody who don't want to be saved. You can only save the savable. And just like you said, Grandpa Brian, you always tell me if you're not accepting of that energy I send you, well, you know, it's just going to go someplace else. And well, that's right. If you don't want to accept the
Correct.
energy, you're not going to get it because you're not accepting it.
Right.
So
I can send it out. I can't force you to take it.
that,
That's, you have to be willing.
that's right.
And we all have free will.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so that's why that Jesus story, you know, touches a lot of people because, you know, it's all about this hope, you know, this savior guy is going to come back. And people have been waiting around for this guy for 2,000 years. You know, what if they're just doing the rat experiment on us? You know what I'm saying? In a human experiment,
Mhm.
but we're the rats.
Well, no question. He's going to come like a
Yeah.
thief in the night. That's it. You won't know he's coming. He's not going to come in a big surprise. Not going to hear anything. He's going to come like a thief in the night. So there's no way to know. So you're right. You know, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
And
hope.
we'll wait for thousands and thousands of years. I bet you the guys controlling this experiment are laughing, just saying, "What the heck? Look at rats will last hours paddling in the water. Look at these humans last thousands and thousands of years." It is a laughable joke. I mean, I hate to say it, but but yeah, the message is people have gone to such extremes for their religion, giving their money, their time, their effort. Not saying it's all bad because, you know, there are kind acts that people do, but a lot of people, and I don't know if you've run across this, a lot of the people that are mighty going churchgoers are sometimes not the nicest people. And I hate to say it, they think they're all goody two shoes because they go to church, but in the background they really don't do the nicest things. And I don't say that to everybody, but it does seem like it's a growing trend that way. How about you say?
Yeah.
My aunt, uh, she passed away 2 weeks ago. This past Tuesday, we buried her this past Tuesday.
Mhm.
She was as holy roller as they come. She went on several missions. She did about 4 or 5 missions up to Alaska.
Mhm.
Uh, they wanted to build a church up there because a lot of the natives were converting over to Christianity, but they only had about $6,000. Well, she came back and did one fundraiser and raised over $125,000. They were able to get the church built. She'd fly up there and just cook for them, and she loved to cook and socialize. So, you know, there are people that follow religion that do good deeds.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I do agree with that. Some people, that's their passion is doing good things, you know, through that church stuff. And I'm not dishing anybody who does, um, you know, things like that
yeah,
because I think good things do happen that way. You know, hungry people do get fed. You know, people who are out of a home get a house. churches do get built. But in the same way, I want to put this too. Sometimes good things, every bad or good thing has, a yin and a yang, put it that way. That's what I want to say. So by the good thing of raising and building the church and getting all that money donated, and you're going to convert all those natives, and they're going to have a nice big church to worship in, converting all their children for lifetimes after lifetimes. What a trade-off.
In the same sense, Thursday, we were traveling through downtown Indianapolis. We pulled up to the stoplight, and there's this older African-American gentleman just sitting there waiting for the bus. I rolled down my window and had a conversation with this gentleman the whole time that we were sitting at the red light.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of Christian people that would never, ever do that. If they seen someone sitting at a stoplight, sitting over there on a bench, they wouldn't roll down the window and start talking to them. But yet, when I did that day, we turned the corner. I was like, I probably just made that gentleman's day, because who knows, he may not have someone to talk to. Just my motto is just be kind to everyone.
Well, and exactly. So, here's the thing. Just because you don't believe in that God, does that make you, or a God like that, one of the chosen bunches, to be in that religion or another religion of some sort, does that make you a bad person? Are you now you a horrible, evil, paganistic person who can kill, rape, murder and steal because you're not believing in that God?
Yes, I was actually called a pagan by my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I kind of ripped into Christianity and told her that basically the God that you're worshiping is a reptilian alien. Because I asked her, I said, are you worshiping Yahweh? Yeah. Well, he's part of the Elohim. And if you look who the Elohim were, they were the Anunnaki, an alien race. You're worshiping an alien.
Yeah.
So don't call me pagan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people who worship, like we started out in the beginning here, nobody asked questions. They were all taught from young child not to ask the questions and not to look into that. Only read and study the Bible. Only read and study the Bible. Well, if you only read and study one book, I could give you the Lord of the Rings book, or the Hobbit book, or something like that, or Harry Potter, and we'll go by that from now on. You can only read Harry Potter or whatever book, or the Hobbit. How about let's go with the Lord of the Rings books? You can only refer to those books. Anything else out of there is wrong. There was orcs and hobbits and magic spells and blah blah blah. And if Gandalf didn't say it, it never happened. and and all the kids go to Hogwarts. You know what I'm saying. If you only have one book to refer out of or reference to or read out of, you only get one side of the story. You need to read all the sides of the story. You need to look at history and science and see if it makes sense. Did Jonah really get swallowed by a whale? The logic says you can't get swallowed by a whale. You would die. Besides that, maybe you could get swallowed for a little while. Some whales probably are big enough that they could swallow you, but only for a very short time, because their digestive system would literally, eat you up inside. They're not that big. I mean, that's scientific.
The problem is the air. There's no air in a whale's industrial system. The air only comes from their blowhole in their lungs. There's no air in their system. So yes, if you get swallowed by a whale, forget about the digestive stuff. You're gonna suffocate. You're gonna drown.
Yeah. There you go. Even if you had a scuba suit on, eventually you're gonna run out.
Exactly. You're not gonna. Yeah. If you had a scuba suit, you'd last maybe a few hours, maybe a day if you're lucky. That's about it, though.
Yeah, exactly. you know, there's a lot of stories in the Bible too, like they're just so unbelievable. That like the guy got thrown to the lions, you know. Well, they didn't get thrown by the lions and they just weren't hungry at that point in time. Maybe he smelled bad or, whatever. I mean, just think of it that way. I mean, they don't give you the big details.
Mhm.
What you know what I mean? There's the what ifs.
Actually, with lions, it's a kind of funny thing because lions are cats.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't show fear, they want to chase you. And if they can't chase you, it confuses them. So maybe because he believed in his God so much, he stood and faced the lion, looked at the lion and wasn't afraid. The lion doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And of course, the lion's like, okay, this guy isn't prey. What is he? And somehow the lion knows two things: the humans to eat or his handlers. And his handlers might have been mean, but this is a nice handler. So maybe what happened was this lion said, hey, this is a nice handler. It's not prey. So maybe that's all that happened.
Yep.
Things that I know just by reading. There was a
Yes.
story of a guy. A guide used to went out. He was a white guy. Went to the jungles of Africa, and that's one of the things he discovered that he thought he was dead. He was two male lions. They were face to face with him, and he knew I'm not going to be able to run away. So all I can just stand my ground and hopefully I don't die. And that's when he learned they won't go after you if you don't run. And that's when the tribe members said, oh yeah, if you don't run away, they're not going to come after you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
male lions. Male lions are chickens. It's the females you're going to watch out for because you see one, it's the other ones that'll go after you. But male lions will face you. But again, what happened in the lions? Daniel and Lion's Den. What did Daniel do? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? They said he pulled a thorn out of the lion's paw or whatever. But I look at it like, okay, so if you pulled the thorn out of the lion's paw, that tells me I know animals enough to know that if this lion had been suffering with that paw that had been injured by that thorn long enough, the lion was weak.
Oh, yeah.
And he was probably down and out. And you can watch videos nowadays of animals that are hurt. If you watch those videos where the animal's hurt, caught in a fence or whatever, and it's pretty much will just stand there, and people are just so impressed. Look, that poor deer just let me take him out of the fence, and he was so appreciative. The mama bear just let us pick her cubs out and give them back to her, whatever. Well, yeah, and some instances, yeah, that's true. They're like, hey, I've been caught in this fence for hours. I'm done. I'm dying. Because that's the first thing animals do is they give up, they don't have hope, and then they just die. You ever notice that? They get sick, they don't know how to heal themselves, they don't know that they're going to get better, and they just die. Yeah, they don't hold on very long at all. Let's see. Trina says, I saw a guy get ate by a whale in his kayak, and then the whale spit him out right away. Yeah, I agree with that. Whales don't want to eat people or kayaks or any of that stuff. They don't want to eat you. We're not their food. Well, and like you said, like, do you ever get chased by get some dogs and a dog will chase you? Healers are good for that. If you run, that dog will chase you. But if you stand and face him, more than likely he'll just growl at you. But as soon as you run away, he's running. He's going to get you.
Yep.
Well, dogs are tough.
It's that fear.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure lions are tougher. But
anyway. No, dogs are tough. You got breeds. The breeds of dogs have different ways of treating different breeds of dogs because you got the border collies that like to herd, and you got the the pit bulls and the Dobermans and like to defend. So you got to treat them each differently.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, we're back to the Jesus thing where he created a bunch of miracles. Now he was going around from town to town. Who knows? Maybe he did it like this Kabla Vaca guy did. He didn't have anything to lose, and maybe he had a trick up his sleeve or something like that. Maybe the stories were all made up, but it convinced a lot of people. And maybe it was just a story because the Romans kept pretty good records. but they didn't keep a lot of records of this guy. How come the Romans didn't keep records of it? They had to get these stories from someplace else. How is that possible? You know.
Well, the Romans did keep records of his followers. His followers are in the records. It's just not Jesus himself. And that's when it comes that's where it comes down to. If you put the pieces together, it gets kind of interesting after that.
Yeah, you got a lot of followers, but no central guy. You know, I mean, you know, we could make up a, you know, let's do that. Let's make up a religion right now. You know, and everybody here is going to worship that, you know, but that guy, we're going to tell a story about a guy who died 300 years ago, you know, and this guy was beyond good. You know, he could create miracles and all that stuff, and da 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 da. And you know what? Well, now what if you got a good guy, you got to have a bad guy. And who's the bad guy?
Well, you know,
Satan.
Yeah, you
That's
Satan.
right. His twin brother. I'm not making that part up either. But you have to have his equal, if not bigger than equal, because the good guy always has to battle against a catastrophe, an evil guy, somebody creating the bad works. I mean, otherwise, it doesn't really matter, does it? You go around and do some nice stuff, it's all great. No, and people forget your name. But if there's a bad guy out there and you go out and do good stuff, everybody remembers who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a balance, the yin and the yang. You got to have,
Yep.
and therefore, hence the story. I mean, now not to say that there's some good phrases in there and about in the story and some things about good works and so forth and so on, but then it's written as a controlling factor. I think when the religion part got in there, maybe they took it off of a story of some sort that may have been kind of true, but then they added lib to make it so there's a controlling factor. You know, who wants to go around and be poor all the time? If you don't have rich people, all the poor people would be out of work. You ever think of that?
Well, if you didn't have all the poor people working for the rich person would be screwed. So that's where it comes down to, you know, you need that figurehead to teach these, follow the rules, follow the system, follow the society.
And why didn't in the books? Why didn't Jesus go to the rich people right away and say, "Hey, you know, I can do all these miracle works and I'll cure your family, and now you just help me convert all those other people to you know, follow me." You know, and the rich guy he'd be out there, you know, telling everybody to follow him. But he didn't, because there's few rich people.
That thing he did. Mary Magdalene was rich. Mary Magdalene was a funder. He had funders, but you don't hear much about them because he needed the rich people to help fund so he could feed all these poor people.
Yeah, because there's masses, but he needed followers. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, he needed, a lot of his followers were poor, destitute people, and there were very few funding.
Yeah, he needed people who needed hope, like the mice in the pot, and he needed people who needed saving. Because does the rich guy really need saving?
No, but he does need to get the hearts and minds of the people. So yeah, so I guess that's what he would get, a few rich people who says, yeah, hey, yeah, these bunch of my people who I need to rely on to be happy, I'll put a few bucks on the side. It doesn't cost me much, because even then where Jesus was buried, he was buried in his tomb was from a rich man.
Yeah.
A rich man donated his tomb. So there are rich people here and there in the Jesus story. And why? Because, you know, maybe that's what the Romans were trying to portray, is to tell, hey, you've got to step up occasionally and you know, fund a little bit to keep your poor people in line, to be happy.
Mhm. Yeah,
You got to tell the poor people, you got to follow the rules, let Caesars be Caesars, and then, gods be gods, so you can separate your religion and your government, and everyone can be happy and live in harmony.
that's right. You got to give those people a little bit of hope so they keep working for the rich people. Otherwise, they'll start uproaring and causing riots, and they ain't gonna work, and you're not gonna get nothing out of them. Oh man, this is quite the controlling factor. And now the thing is, as you see, people are falling away from religion. They're falling away. Most people, most kids don't read Bibles. They don't go to church. A lot of people are breaking away. Do you see a new religion on the home front?
No, not really. COVID had a lot to do with that because people were locked down. They weren't able to go to church, and it actually started forcing them to look within themselves. And then they started learning, well, I don't need religion. God's inside me. All I have to do is go inside myself, and there he is. Why do I need a religion for?
That is true.
So,
But the religion of the state, we are so brainwashed by what the state tells us, whether through media and stuff, that a lot of people I know, I mean, it's because their guys are saying it. They go, yeah, it's true. And I'm like, it goes back to 1984, that, double speak. It's like, you're being manipulated. And they go, oh, no, that's the other side. I'm not going to say any political parties. They blame oh, no, they're the bad guys. My guys are okay. I'm like, no, your own guys are being double speak. Oh, you just, they're the side. I'm like, no, listen to what you're being told. Use your own minds. You're being manipulated by your own party. But that's what happened. That's the religion of political parties. I think that's what's happening. Yeah. I mean, because there are people who are very adamant in their political party, and they are to the point where they're actually believing things that should belong on the opposite side. And it's like, but because their party's doing it, I mean, we're in a mess.
Oh yeah, but who's controlling all of them? And I'm going to tell you right now. Watch this. This is the guy who's controlling it all.
Albert.
Did you get that? You get that one? There's our new religion.
That's a good point. Although there are the other ones, it is quite interesting. Even though Bing goes against Google and Chrome and stuff, it's all the same because Bing actually is built by Google itself. You're
exactly.
Right.
But I just use Google as an example because it's all the web. I'm talking about the internet, the web. The internet is this hydra that even you and me, all of us, we're using right now. That's the new AI God right there.
I'm using it twice. I'm using it twice because I'm paying attention to things at once.
Exactly.
It watches us, it controls us, and as it gets stronger and stronger, it manipulates and gets into every aspect of our life. So as they don't need that invisible God, that invisible savior, people call out for Siri, or Alexa, or Google, or whatever you want to name it, Bing, Yahoo. Who cares what it is? It's all connected to the web, to this invisible web that we can't see. No, but it knows everything and everything, anything and everything about us. Just as we were told as children that God would know about us. Is that not spooky enough?
You're right, because I can literally look for most times within 2 minutes, I know what the temperature outside is. Whether look at my phone, look at my computer, or at work, look at the displays. They have displays every other room, and it'll tell me what the temperature and what the weather's going to be for the next 5 days, because for some reason work wants us to know that too. So yeah, I can know anything I need to know within a second, and that is, and I have actually thought to myself, oh, you know what, I'm gonna disconnect myself tomorrow. I'm not gonna pick it up, but something happens where I'm just connected, and I don't have a chance.
Or you decide to go home from work, and when you go home, you pick up your phone and it says, 20 minutes travel time to get home if you take route such and such. How does it know that I'm going home? How does it know what route I'm going to take? How does it know? Why is it really following me? Is it watching me? Is it controlling me? At some point I wonder, is it really making up my decisions for me? Do I need it, or does it need me? You be the judge of that one.
I actually was watching one of Wayne's shows, which the title didn't match most of the show, which is okay, interesting. But the next video after Wayne's show was in perfect alignment with what he was talking about. And Wayne doesn't have his show monetized, so the AI shouldn't be following his show because it's not economical. But it is, because there's no question, because the show, the title, the description didn't match what he talked about in the show. But God forbid the next video match perfectly what he was talking about. And I was like, what is going on? Because I was only half paying attention. But everything we do is being monitored. I mean, this show, whatever I say, I mean, I have videos where my little shorts, they're being subtitled. I have people from other countries watching my videos, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? Why are they watching my video? Because they look at the subtitles and they're commenting. And I'm like, wait. And I don't include those because their comments don't make any sense. So I have to go to Google Translate and translate them. And I was thinking about putting the translate, well, what's going on? So yeah, the AI is watching what we're saying, knows what we're saying, and then translating it into, so this show is probably going to be conveyed, if it's interesting enough, to other language and being subtitled in other languages, which I didn't know. I'm a tiny little channel with 666 subscribers. I love that. Actually, it's 665 now, but it was interesting yesterday with 666. But it's just a tiny channel. It's not monetizable. It's everything. I don't have anything that important on it. I just goofy me talking about things, about thoughts. But for some reason, the AI decided, hey, I'm going to spread this and translate in subtitles into, I think it was Philippines. I have Filipinos watching my videos.
Oh, wow.
India too. And Indians speak English and Farsi. Farsi doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Hindi,
Farsi. Hindi.
Yeah,
Hindi.
but that doesn't matter. Whatever language India watches in English, but the Filipinos will watch it in the Filipino language, to Tagalog. And yes, everything we do is being monitored and being disseminated for some reason. So I'm just a cog in the machine. I'm helping Google for some reason. And as much as, it's quote helping me, but really just making me addicted to it. It's an addiction. It is a terrible addiction. Yeah. So you're right. The God, this unfortunately is my God, and I try to get away from it, but I just can't quit it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
They don't need religion anymore. That's why I don't think religion plays it. They're not even worried about converting people or losing people, because that is old school. The new school is already here, under our noses, converting, when they go to digital money, or they go to digital, everything is digital. I mean, you got to have your phone for everything, your paychecks and your work and your job and your, anything and everything you do is connected to the internet, that web. If you don't have it, you're not going to get a job. You're not going to be able to do anything, and a lot of that went way to that, the far left on that, when the thing came, for 2 years that everybody was stranded in their house, everybody went digital big
Mhm.
time. And maybe that was a test to see how far digital we could go on certain things, like what needs to be upgraded to, keep people in their homes more. Oh, we need this and we need that, and this didn't work and that worked, and telemedicine was out there and stuff like that. But anyway, um, so let's see. Oh, Trina says, have you all seen the tree challenge on TikTok? They're telling them to touch, they're telling the trees to touch them, and they are. That's kind of interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, I have not seen that,
See,
but
that's the one thing I don't have is TikTok,
I
because
don't either.
I did have it and I deleted it because it was just too much. Because it did, I didn't like TikTok because I said, okay, these are the ones I want to watch. It would show me all these other things. And I'm like, no, I don't. I want to watch this, and you show me other things. And no, fine. I don't understand TikTok. It's not for me. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do know. I mean, my son, who's he's a programmer, software engineer. He software in high school, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
He barely uses his phone. He doesn't want anything to do with all this stuff. He uses Facebook and Twitter only for communications, but he's not on it that much at all. And it's like he's
Right.
we no, but the thing is, he's so deep in the industry, but he's the opposite side of it, where he's like, nah, I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things is that is kind of weird, because he says, yeah, it's too much, and I don't need that much. I have what I need. I can get what I need done, and then cut it off. Well, me, I mean, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything. I've got it all open all the time, and I get notifications. I'm like, no, I got to cut that notification. I'm sick of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I don't blame.
maybe some of them are in the right mind, but most of the children are stuck as much as a lot of us are.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Trina says religion put you into more control groups to form a society and behaviors. But isn't that what the internet is doing? It's putting us into groups, controlling what we think by sending us different articles to look at. I'm sure my phone sends me different stuff to look at than your phone does, or your phone. It's telling me different things. Sending me to, like you said, after Wayne's show, then it was listening and it sent the next video on that subject. So it had to be listening. See, so
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. It's controlling us, by suggestion. That way you have free will, and then you pick it anyway,
well,
because you were suggested it and you go, well, maybe that wasn't so bad. Huh,
see, that's the thing about
do it anyway.
watching old Wayne videos, because Wayne tends to go off on tangents that don't relate to the original subject.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I like watching that, but when I noticed it wasn't following the words that he said he was going to speak, it followed what he did literally. So it is knowing the intricacies of the words. So YouTube AI is far more advanced than I had ever expected. It is scary to me.
Yeah, well, they're all kind of like that.
Yep.
But like I said, it's not YouTube or just Google or any of that. It's deeper. It's the web, the internet itself, the web. It's weaved, trapping us all inside.
Oh, that's
Just as religion had trapped everybody, it has religion. Not saying one is different than the other, but religion has trapped every society on earth. It literally, at some points in history, you had to belong to some religion at some point in place. It was like, are you with the Lutherans? Are you with the Catholics? Are you with the Protestants? The Protestants were fighting the Catholics, and the Catholics were fighting the Lutherans, and you pick sides. It's like it's all that you're listening to the same God, but if you're not a Lutheran, you're a Catholic, we're killing you. What?
Yep.
You're still carrying the same damn cross. No, I'm a pilgrim. Oh, sorry. What? We're Protestants. I don't get it. But anyway, I want to say to everybody, we should send some love and prayers to David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. As you know him, he had some back surgery. I don't know if he'll be back and well enough to be on Tuesday, but if we send him good energy, he will recover and be back up and around. I'm sure he's very sore right now. I have not gotten word from him yet, but I'm sure he's alive and well, doing fine, but he's probably needing some healing. So anybody can send him a little bit of love and energy. You go right ahead. Be my guest, because I'll be doing the same. So next thing you know is Max Vision has a great show going on right after ours. Actually, he started already at 10 o'clock. Go over there and do a little mind work. Go over there and, use your inner telepathy skills, because that's really important stuff. And last but not least, Nina the Mystic will be having on her Sin Day Live. I think his name is Alan Miller. He is man, that guy is smart and good. I hope it's a live show, because he's a scientist. He's done it all. He's a genius. I'd love to get that guy on my show. I hope I can ask him some questions in the comment section, like, the theory of gravity and why is it magnetism or frequency. Man, this guy will tell you. He's done everything, and he probably can explain to you how to make a flying saucer if you wanted. But anyhow, needless to say, what else is under announcements is there? Next Saturday, we have Witch Betty coming on. Witch Betty will be on to talk about plants and herbal stuff. She's going to be talking about some mushrooms, I think, too. She's all into that. She makes tinctures and things like that. She has a big following. You can find her on Instagram. That's where I found her. And next week, the links will be in the description below. But Witch Betty will be coming on. And so have your questions for her. Go check her out on Instagram. And it's kind of interesting. Hopefully she can tell us some good stuff too. And Grandpa Brian, didn't you say you know a lot about the herbs and things like that? And whatever. I hope maybe you can come back and join us and
Yeah, I know a little bit about herbs. I have a book over here, like Lucky was talking about. It's all edible plants, roots, how to make the tinctures, all that.
Yep.
So
I know. I know. I think you mentioned once before about something on that. So hopefully we can have you back on for my co-host for that. And I want to send big shout out to everybody who was in chat tonight. Mary Wins, Chief Meldian, Joe Sapien came to join us. We came in a little bit too late. Trina Phoenix, thank you for coming. Let's see. We got all those other people. They probably went over to Max Elderberry and Max Vision remote view class. So go check out him. Nina the Mystic, Steve-O, Scotty Boy, and Pa Joe, and anybody else I missed, I'm sorry. But thank you all for coming. But we're going to continue this on the rest of this week. So my nightly shows are going to vary around a lot of this stuff. I'm not saying every show is, but I'm saying is that we're going to be talking a little bit about religion and about going through some of these books that I've been studying, like this one here. If you all haven't got it, this one's good. And this one here, I've been doing my research out of these. I got several other ones too. And we're going to find out about religion. And I think it's done a lot of stuff through history, put it that way. Not all of it was the best, but not all of it was the worst either.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's a balance somewhere in there, and you both are welcome to come on and talk with me about it all week long. Anytime you got a chance, you want to be on, let me know and we'll get right back into this.
Mhm.
So, Renee, Grumpy Stack was in the house, and Jackie J. There you go. Saying that was a quick hour. Grumpy Stack, I got to get you on here. We got to talk a little bit about things. Yeah. Anyway, with that, thank you guys. Any last words?
No, to be good to each other,
Absolutely.
take care of each other.
Yeah, I seen you already had it. I was going to, I have a copy of Caesar's Messiah. If you didn't have it, I was going to send it to you. Really good read.
I got that. Now, people, I am not one-sided. I study both sides. I got another one, Hidden Wisdom in the Holy Bible. I got this one here, Gods of Eden. I got them all. I tried to study this wide range of variety of stuff. I even got this old book here. It's about the Jesuits. Lucky you're going to be the recipient of that book in a little while. But anyway, we'll be talking a little bit about that. And who were they? How did they manipulate this religion to shape our world that we live in? So the next days from now until Easter, we're going to be talking about all that kind of good stuff. Not to bore y'all, but I hope spring is coming in like a lion, so it goes out like a lamb. I tell you that. And it sounds like on your half of the country it is. Grandpa Brian, you're putting up your garden?
Yes, I started a little bit today. Got one bed. I'll be planting some onions and a couple other little things tomorrow.
Well, good.
Getting the tree that I cut up, get it cleaned up a little bit, and get ready for a few weeks down the road when I put my fence up around the garden and start getting all the rest of the beds done.
Good deal. Lucky, how's it up by you? Snow melted?
No, it melted and now it froze and then put more snow on top of it. So we're in a troublesome situation where we get snow, rain, freezing, snow. So yes, although my driveway's clear, my neighbor's driveway has got like a half an inch of pure ice because they didn't. I shoveled my driveway. My neighbor didn't. They figured, oh, it'll just wash away. No, now it's frozen. It's frozen they can't move their car right now.
Oh no. Well,
It's there. I told them. I shoveled. No, don't bother. Like, okay.
They're paying for it now. But anyway, we could have it a lot worse.
Yep.
A lot worse, but it's spring's right around the corner, everybody. Okay. Well, remember, go over to Max Vision, check him out. He's probably on, he's on already, I know that. But anyway, go check him out. With that, remember, everybody, join us here every night at 9 o'clock all week long. And we're going to bring you some really great shows. With that, go out, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everybody. And there.